Welcome back to Dan's Messy Garage. I am in my messy garage today, and I'm going to start working on my 78 Mustang II. It has a bad starter. It's a V6 engine, and I understand the V8 engines are the same setup. The starter's going to be a real pain in the butt to get out of there. Most cars you can crawl under the car and unbolt the starter and the wires and replace it from the bottom. This car, you can't do that. There's a engine cross member that goes side to side under the oil pan. You got to take that off. And then you have to take off the rack and pinion steering, the big unit on front, slide that forward just to gain access to the starter, which is down in there. I'm anticipating a fight. I've looked in shop manuals, online, videos, and forums, trying to find out if there's a simple way to do it. There isn't. So, it's not going to be fun. You guys might have fun watching me struggle with this, but I think it's time to start the struggle. I'm going to jack it up, gather up some tools, and get busy. I'm going to slide under the car here so you can see what I'm up against. And right off the bat, I was wrong. I thought the starter was over on the passenger side. It's not. That's it back there on the driver's side. But that there, that got to take that nut off to remove the whole rack and pinion steering. I'd have to unhook the rack and pinion steering from the steering wheel. Then under the car, this member support, cross member, whatever, kind of runs under the back of the engine near the flywheel area. That has to come off to gain access to the bolts. And that's held on, looks like with 4, 2 on each side, those big ones there. I think they're 5/8. Take a 5/8 socket and see. Yep. So I think the first step is going to be to take those 4 out, get that cross member out of the way. Then I'm going to have to go up inside there, find out where the steering shaft hooks to the rack and pinion steering, unhook that, so I can then unhook the rack and pinion steering to gain access to the starter. Right back there. Well, it's not going to get done with me talking about it. I put a clamp meter on the cable that runs straight to the starter motor. This should be able to record minimum and maximal amperage. I have a jump pack hooked to the battery right now. Should supply way more current than it needs to start. Watch the meter and we'll see how many amps the starter is trying to draw. Yeah, that jump pack doesn't like that. Let me shut that thing off. All right, I'm going to have to hit the min max button here. See if it does show. Max 1.6, min 1.6. What's going on here? Didn't that pick anything up, folks? Let me watch the video and find out. We're going to give that another try. I pushed the max button first, so maybe it'll record it. Before, the video showed 455 amps. Let me see what that showed. 422. So it's the starter. And, it's not the battery right now is dead because, I'm an idiot. My friend Mike came over and we pushed the car into my garage Wednesday. And I was showing him how it didn't start, it just clicked. And today's Sunday, and I came in here to work on it. Found out I left the key on. Since Wednesday, battery is dead. So I got a jump back on there now. And, it's over 400 amps. That should have started, and it didn't start. The starter's bad. Did the test again, a couple times actually. This has a 600 amp max, and it would say OL for overload, and this would start beeping. That's after charging the battery a little bit. And I had it clamped around here. So the starter is pulling excess amps. And the engine's not locked up because I can take and turn the fan and move the crank. So it is the starter. I checked the connections. They're good. They're not loose, not corroded that I could see. And it's got to come out of there. I've been trying to avoid it because it's after 2 o'clock now. And I've been screwing around in here for a couple hours trying to find out another reason why it won't start or to prove it's the starter. And so far, everything's proven to me starter's bad. So I got to get in there and get it out. All right. Those top bolts were a real pain to get to. That's that cross member. Got that out. The bottom 2 bolts weren't too bad. Top ones, I could only get like 1 click out of a ratchet or a ratchet wrench. There's no access up in there. But they're out. Now I need to try to get the rack and pinion bolts off of there. Big nut. And I think the bolt goes all the way through the cross member. Another one over here. And I have to get the steering coupler apart so I can pull the cross member off of there. In the starter, I could see one of the bolts, maybe feel another one. I don't know if there's 2 or 3 bolts in this starter. They changed that, different years. So I'm going to have to get some more wrenches, sockets or something to get that steering shaft off. I'm under the car. I'm going to try to show you what I got going on here. That thing up in there is a steering coupler. I have it loose, but it won't come off the shaft to the rack and pinion box. Rack and pinion box won't come off because of this lip right here. You know, I can move it, but it's got to come forward enough to drop it down so I can get that starter out of there. The problem is, spin around here. Battery in my work light died, but we're looking the opposite direction now. Driver's side to passenger side. This is the steering rack frame. This part here's got to come forward. But look, that's the oil pan right there. There's like no room to slide this steering rack this way. I don't know how they get this in and out of the car with the oil pan on. And you can't take the oil pan off the way it's in the car without lifting the engine. I'm going to have to contemplate this. Those manuals I looked at didn't say anything about the steering rack hitting the oil pan. This side, it's still got to come back 3/4 of an inch before I can get it off of here. All right, I gotta crawl out from under the car, get vertical, and let my head clear. Just in case somebody out there is yelling at me, you gotta take the bolt out of the steering coupler to get the coupler off. I did that. Bolt's been out. I did find a spark plug that's been under there for a very long time in all that grease. But yeah, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this. I think I'll just bring you back after I get that rack out of there, or out enough to drop it down to get the starter out. It's just too hard to try to record this and do it at the same time. Just for fun. It's been over an hour and I'm still not there. I did manage to get the starter bolts out. The starter is kind of free to flop around inside there, but it's nowhere near being able to get pulled out of there yet. Little progress update. I got a wrench jammed in there, which means this is now really on this side of that frame lip. The rack is smack up against the oil pan. I need to get it to drop down. The starter is right there. I can move it around. I got the bolts out. But I need to get that steering shaft to come out of this rack unit so I can drop it down far enough to get the starter out of there. The starter needs to come out of that dark hole right there. I don't have good light under here to show you. But I did make some progress. I got that rack pulled forward enough to get a wrench in there. So now I just need to get it to drop down. Okay, what I'm trying to do, there's a spline shaft right there that runs into that coupler. I'm trying to get that to slide off of those splines and come out of that coupler. And it's just not happening. Maybe some penetrating oil on there will help. I'll have to climb out from under here and get that and give it a whirl. What do we got? 10-4. And there it is. One super grease covered nasty starter. It's out. I can safely, easily say that is the worst starter situation I ever run across. Now, I want to pull it apart and see what the issue is with it. You know, the brush is burned up. Is the armature burned up? You know, what is the problem with it? But before I can take it apart, I'm going to have to scrape a lot of that gook off of there. I'm beat, but it's out, and I'm happy about that. That's cleaned up enough that I can take it apart. Just gotta remove these two long screws. They screw all the way through the starter into this housing. And I gotta take off this. So I need a flat blade screwdriver, probably a 3/8 wrench, or some pliers to hold that. And with 5/16 or 3/8 nut driver for that. Let me gather some tools. I'll be right back. All right, gathered up some tools. First, I'm going to take this brush cover off of here. One of the nice things about having an engine that leaked a lot of oil over the years, yeah, it's a gooey, gappy mess, but things come apart. You know, they're not rusted together. I'd rather have the gooey, gappy, clunky stuff than rust. Okay. This is like the solenoid. Starter solenoid activates the power, and that sucks this down and pushes this Bendix thing, it's a one-way clutch, into the starter motor. All right, forget that. Let's get this thing apart. What size we have here? 3/8. That bolt came right out. These little wax paper type gaskets off of here. Yeah, get that later. Just bolt out. Okay, now this whole thing will come apart. We'll spin it around. So you can take the nose part off first. I can throw this in my ultrasonic cleaner, add a washer, and this cup washer went around this circlip here. This clip is what holds this Bendix thing on here. that feels good, and that wasn't giving me any issues. I think I'm going to leave that alone. All right, let's take this apart. This end piece. Oh, we got something funny going on here. That rubber. Haven't seen one like this before. But yeah, I can't pull the armature out because of this assembly here. And that is usually something that just slides out, but this looks like a roll pin. So I'm going to have to pound that out of there. Let's see if it moves easy. Not really. All right, be right back. I'm going to get a punch and a hammer and some more tools. That moved. Take a smaller punch and see if I can get it all the way out of there now. Yep. That was a roll pin. So this should come apart now. And this should come out of here. Like that. And that armature is badly worn. I mean, that is way down in there. Like a huge groove. See how this end is like mushroomed up? That's because all this is worn down. Get some cleaner on there and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, that close to these segments here is full thickness. It's full thickness on that edge, but that in the middle is really worn down. So those brushes probably are worn down too. They got these spring clips to hold the brushes in. They are worn. Yeah, that's pretty wore out. These windings. They look burnt. Yeah, I think this is beyond my repair, want, need, and desire to. So I'm going to buy a new one. Or do I have to? Let me go check my stash. I see that this is a Motorcraft 76 EF part number on there. So this is probably the original starter from the car, 1978. And it's got 91,000 miles on the car. So there's an outstanding chance that's the original. Go check my starter stash. I have a 2-bolt starter. Looks like it's a lot longer than this one was, or is. Stand them up here. Three-quarters an inch longer. Might fit though. I think this is a good one. I could put my jump pack on it and find out if it spins. I don't know the history of it. Doesn't seem to be froze or locked up. A clip here that held it end on, a little bent up, but that should be okay. See, the thing is, now that that's out of there, it might not be too much of a hassle to slide this in, throw the bolts in it, and hit the key. And I'll see if the starter works, and if it does, then I could go ahead and put everything back together. But I'll oil this up here first, and yeah, let me see if that's going to work out. I'll let you know. I'm going to pull the end off this starter I yanked from my stash. You know, I didn't write down on it what it came from or where I got it. There's no telling. You know, this could be anywhere from a good starter I threw in the stash to a totally junk thing like that. But I'm pretty sure that totally junk thing is going to go out in the scrap pile. Now I can take it out of there. Because I got to take that bolt out to get the end plate off. There. See, that comes off. And this style is easier because you can look right in there and see the brushes. I mean, they're thin, but that armature looks like it's in much better condition than that one. Yeah. And I'm looking down inside there and I don't see anything really burnt. I'm not smelling burnt. Of course, I don't know how long this has been sitting around. I'm going to clean this off and put some grease in the end of this though. I wiped the end of that off, put some grease in there. I'm going to spin that armature before I torque that down. Get that grease spread around. And of course, while I'm at it, I should grease up the other end of this. Yeah, see that? That's going to be a lot better in there. This doesn't take a lot of grease because there's like an oilite bushing in there, which is a grease impregnated copper bronze type substance. So I'll see if I can take this apart without pulling the armature out of there. Yep. A lot of crud. There's a keeper here that holds that bushing in there. Keeper's kind of gnarled, but it's keeping it in position. Like they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I think I'll leave that alone. I'll just clean this shaft up. Put some grease on here. I'm going to spray that out of there though. One of the things I can do here is this old one. It's got that circlip that that this cupped washer went over like that. It's missing off of that one. Yeah, because what it does is stops this thing from coming too far out in the end. And you can see like this surface here is kind of chewed up a little bit because that clip's not there, and that was coming out and actually hitting the flex plate or flywheel or whatever this thing was on. I think what I'm going to do, since these teeth look a lot better on this Bendix than that one, that's teeth are probably chewed up because that was rubbing. There's more stress on it. I'm going to use this Bendix also. So I got to get this apart, take that off, swap these, put that clip on, shove this thing together, and then see if it works. Felt like it snapped in. Looks good. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot better. Yeah. Then this retaining washer ring goes over there. And then the end bell, end housing will go on there. And this spring goes against that little point there to keep that pushed in. Okay, let's stand this up so I can do this without popping the end of the starter apart. Update time. You see that there's 3 here now. I had this 3-bolt starter, and I took, well, this is actually a 3-bolt starter. I thought it was a very good one. It was a recent rebuild and all that. Looked great inside. So I took the 2-bolt end off, swapped it, so I got a 2-bolt end on a supposedly good starter. I hook it up to jumper cables straight to the battery, and it's just spark show. It's like nothing. It's like a dead short. So I hook another one up, lots of sparks, barely turns, so that's bad. So I have, count them, 1, 2, 3 bad starters. So I ordered one up from O'Reilly, like this original one, and there's a cord charge of $15, so they're getting that one back because that's the one that fits the car. And they always like you to return the core for the part that fits the car. So with that, I can't do anything. So that's going to be the end of this episode of putting a starter in a 78 Mustang II with a V6 in it. Please come back to my channel for future videos and also part 2 of this video. Have a good day. Bye.